If you'd like to, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I post every Wednesday.
Hey everyone, my name is Catherine and thank you so much for clicking this video. Today I wanted to talk about how to travel solo confidently. I think that solo traveling is something that a lot of people are scared to do, which makes sense. A lot of us don't like to be by ourselves, especially putting yourself in an unfamiliar setting, traveling, especially abroad. It can be definitely something that is very scary and intimidating, but I think everyone should solo travel at some point in their life, even if it is not your favorite way to travel and you don't like it, you never want to do it again. I think it is such an important thing to try in your life. It's so empowering when you just are reliant on yourself and you're so afraid to do something, but then you do it and you do it well and you succeed and maybe even enjoy it, which a lot of people do enjoy solo travel. It's just so empowering to be able to just do what you want, when you want. You're able to do it. You're strong enough to get through those fears, to push past them, and to do them confidently. And it does take time, but you can get there. I've gotten there and you can get there as well. So I have some tips on how to solo travel confidently. There have been so many times where I've told friends that I'm traveling somewhere and they ask, oh, with who? And I'll say, oh, just on my own. And they think that it's either so scary and they could never do it, or that it's really weird. And I want to just normalize solo travel and for people to not think it's weird, because it makes me almost feel sad that they think it's weird. Here are some of my tips for when you're traveling solo. One, I love to actually do group tours. I've mentioned them so many times on my channel, but doing trips like EF Ultimate Break, Kentucky, Top Deck, there's plenty of other ones as well, where you book it by yourself, but it is an entire tour that's planned out from this company and you follow along on this tour. There will be free time. You will have the time to do the things that you want to do that may not be included on the itinerary. And with it comes between 10 to 40 other travelers, depending on the time and location. And a lot of these tours, 60%, if not more, are solo travelers. So you will meet friends. I did Costa Rica, Ecuador, and the Galapagos last year. Made several friends on each of the different trips because there were 2 different trips. And I still talk to a lot of people that I've met on these trips or previous trips in previous years to this day. And I've been able to meet up with them later on because it's always fun to have friends around the country or around the world where you can meet up with them when you're in that part of the world or they're in your part of the world. And it's so much fun. So those ones aren't as intimidating just because you know you're going to be with a set group of people around your age. Most of them will also be traveling on their own. And it's almost like the first day of school. You go to school, you know there's going to be people your age. It's just a matter of time before you make friends. So that is one of my first suggestions. The next one, I love to do free walking tours. Almost every single hostel I've stayed at, hotels might be different. I've seen some hotels that do this, but free walking tours, you can go to like the city center to find them or again at your accommodation. And a lot of people on these walking tours are also solo. This is just such an easy way to get acquainted with the area that you're at. It's a nice stepping stone into the destination. So now you know where things are. You can, befriend the tour guide, ask them for advice on what to do. And just, you don't even have to make friends necessarily. Just being around people on some kind of common tour activity can help a lot and fulfill that social need or battery that we may have and need. Now this leads me to my next tip, which is staying in hostels. If you are on the younger side, I'd say anywhere under 40, then staying in hostels is always a really great idea to do, to be able to meet people. You can have your own private room and just meet people in the common space, or you can, like most hostels offer, is to stay in a dormitory style room. Some have mixed genders, some have female only and male only. I've stayed in female only and mixed genders. I will probably say in the future I will only stay in female only. Nothing bad happened to me. I just think over time it kind of just got weird that I was like sharing a bunk bed and there's like a dude sleeping above me or something like that. And I feel like they're just also, I don't know if like this isn't always true, but I feel like they just come back late and they're loud, and I just get worse sleep when there's other guys around because they're just in general louder. And I've noticed the girls wake up earlier in the day, they come back earlier and they wake up earlier. So sometimes I get woken up in the morning. This is to be expected when you're sharing a room with like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 16 other people. In Iceland, I was in a room that had like 16 people. I would say for if you're female, generally I would look into female only. Sometimes they're more expensive, which when you think about it is kind of messed up in some ways, because why are you making things that are more safer for females expensive? That's a whole other topic. I would say in general, if you're traveling alone as a young traveler, to look into booking hostels. And if you're more comfortable, you can start with a private room and go from there. So many different options. Another thing you can do is to take day trips. Now there's the walking tour that I mentioned, and then there's other full day trips that will cost you some amount of money depending on what tour it is. Sometimes there's half days, sometimes there's full days. But I always like to do these when I'm traveling on my own because I want to explore the area. I always like to be taken on a tour by a guide who knows what they're talking about. This will come with a bus or whatever it may be, so you can go further distances than like the area that you're staying at. And I think that they're also a great way to meet people. Yes, a lot of people will come there with their families or their partners or whatever it may be. You can easily make small talk and conversations with other people. Sometimes you can join a group, sometimes you can meet another single person traveling, but honestly, just going on a tour and enjoying seeing what's around you, I think is a really nice thing that I always like to try and do. One example is when I was in Australia, I moved there for a couple of months to do an internship abroad. It fulfilled this want to being able to live abroad and also fulfill a need of furthering my career. And when I had the weekends or the time off, I could travel. So I did one of these day trips, and I was able to make a friend from this trip that ended up living across the street from me. It's kind of a wild story. I met them on the bus on this tour and I befriended them, and then we found out we lived across the street from each other. So you never know what can happen on these tours. It doesn't always happen like that. There's been plenty of tours that I've gone on. I just kind of kept to myself all day because I'm introverted and just quiet in general. And I just was around other people, but I enjoyed the tour and I got out of it when I wanted to get out of it. That's perfectly fine. A lot of times we go on these solo trips and we want to have solo time. We want to enjoy being with ourselves. You should also have a balance between trying to make friends, but also truly enjoying just being on your own. So many people, when they hear solo travel, they think that means you're by yourself the whole time. I have so many friends that solo travel is their preferred way to travel, and they're always with people. They're making friends at the hostel, they're making friends on the walking tours, and people in hostels, they like flock to each other and they want to make friends. So I have this one friend who will go from hostel to hostel. She will meet friends that day and spend the next 3 days with them, and then we'll change hostels and do it all over again. It sounds a little exhausting to me. I think I like to have a bit more balance between solo and meeting people time, but again, just do what you want to do at your own pace. That's the beauty of solo travel. Another thing is living in such a connected digital world. We have so many things to keep us entertainment. I've just loved while traveling, or even when I was like living out in DC by myself, when I'm walking, taking the metro, whatever I'm doing, to pop in an audiobook, to pop in a podcast, some kind of audio only entertainment, and just do my own thing. I find so much enjoyment out of it. Like, I'm my happiest self when I'm listening to something that I find very entertaining. I go to the boba shop, I get my boba, and I just window shop or walk around through town, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. And when I'm traveling, I can do the exact same thing, and I find a lot of joy out of that. Do what works for you. It can be a trial and error. It'll depend on the day. Some days you want to hang out with people. Some days you just want to be by yourself. That's the beauty again of solo travel. It's just being able to do things at your own pace, being in full control of what you want to do, when you want to do it. And I really enjoy that. And honestly, I've done trips with friends since solo traveling, and sometimes I just wish that I was solo traveling because it can just sometimes be a lot easier. But I also love going on trips with friends, so friends, do not think I'm saying I don't. There's balance in everything, and I love having a little bit of everything. And those have been my tips and tricks for how to travel solo more confidently, because again, I think everyone should at least try it in their life. If you end up hating it, you don't have to do it again. I just think that there's so much growth in learning to be comfortable by ourselves, not needing anyone else, and knowing you can do things on your own in a foreign country, in a foreign place. And it's just, again, very empowering. Also, it's important to be safe, so always let loved ones or trusted people in your life know where you're at. And that has been my tips for how to travel more confidently while solo traveling. And I'm actually going on my next trip as a solo traveler. I'm going with EF Ultimate Breaks, so I'm going with a tour company, so it's not completely solo, because I generally prefer going on tour companies because I know I will make friends. It's like a giant school field trip almost for like adults, but like young adults, and I get to make friends through that way. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's happening in a couple of weeks. Thank you all so much. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're seeing this. Bye.